Otra vez, hola, buenas noches, bienvenidos, hello, good evening, and welcome to our 4th annual New York Impact Awards reception of NHMC, which stands for the National Hispanic Media Coalition. I'm Nelson Dennis, and I need to take my glasses off to read. Apparently, I'm the former editorial director of El Diario La Prensa and author of War Against All Puerto Ricans. Everyone in this room, I'm pretty sure, knew, probably argued with, certainly respected, and I am sure loved Angelo Falcón. And just like Angelo, who was our great conscience for 30 years, NHMC shines a light on difficult facts and builds bridges all across this nation. In fact, on the West Coast and the East, Angelo Falcón and Alex Nogales are the twin brothers of agitation. And Alex is still here, so we need to agitate along with him. Tonight, Angelo will be saluted later in the program as we inaugurate the Angelo Falcón Indomitable Spirit Award. This will be presented every year in Angelo's name to those individuals who embody the service and commitment that Angelo brought to this world, to this city, and left a great example for all of us to follow. Those are incredible shoes to fill. So it is in his legacy and his honor that we are establishing the Angelo Falcón Indomitable Spirit Award. But right now, please welcome Angelo's twin brother, the chairman and CEO of NHMC, Alex Nogales.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Nelson, you're very kind as always. You left out one very important accomplishment that I have to share with all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, Nelson just completed his second film, Make America Great. What do you think that's about? It was screened at the Chelsea Film Festival last week to great applause. Let's give this very accomplished individual a hand for his outstanding work and wish him the best in having it distributed throughout the entire nation. One other thing. NHMC has a radio station in Los Angeles, California. Actually, it's Pasadena, California, next to Los Angeles. And we have podcasts, and we have all kinds of wonderful things that we do there. And he has become our East Coast person to go to. He is on the podcast. You can't get the broadcast over here, but on the podcast you can. And you can hear the wonderful things that he has to say about Puerto Rico, about New York, and about some of you in the audience. Not to make you paranoid, okay? Pero más o menos. Thank you very much for joining us again. The coalition is celebrating its 32nd anniversary this year. And we're very excited that we were able to host this again at Google's New York offices. We have two board members here in New York, Marta Garcia and Fernando Soler. They could not be here with us this evening, but attending this evening is Brenda Castillo, NHMC's president and CEO-elect and chair of the NHMC's Business Advisory Board. She also happens to be my wife. She was the first executive decision for the organization 33 years ago. And then after she left us, I lost track of her for over 25 years practically, I think. And then she showed up and she was working for British Petroleum. And she gave us a lot of money. So I asked her to be on the board of directors. And then 2 years later, I asked her to be the chair. And then I asked her out one evening and she said, "Oh, we can't do that. We can't do that. It's not ethical." And I said, "I don't want to marry you. I'm just asking you out." And she says, "It's not ethical." But we went out after all. And then a week later, she resigned. So here she is, again, after all these years of volunteering. And she happens to be my wife. I married her a week after she said, "No, I can't do that." We have, as many of you know, sponsors, and if it weren't for them, we would be hard-pressed to have this gathering. First, I want to thank Google, our reception sponsor, for their generosity in opening up this space and welcome us into it, as well as providing the hors d'oeuvres and drinks you all have had. Sabrosos, ¿verdad? Yeah. Our platform, our platinum sponsor for the evening, our HITN. Mike is over here. He's one of our recipients, as you all know. And Univision, our dear friends from Univision, who year after year are our very close sponsors and always are there supporting us. I want to thank specifically from Google, Chanel Hardy, who's in charge of policy partnerships and strategic outreach at Google. You know, that's a long title. But what that really means is that she helps organizations such as ours with information regarding communications. And it's a big job. She's running from one thing to the other, as has been the case for the last several days. So here she is, Chanel Hardy. Come on up and say a few words. There she is.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Google. As Alex said, I guess the smaller title is Leading Multicultural Policy Partnerships at Google, which is where I spend the bulk of my time. And one of the programs that has made me most proud during my almost 3 years at Google is the Google Next Gen Policy Leaders Program. This is an initiative to bring together emerging leaders of color to connect the dots between social justice, race, and tech policy. It's an important job, and we have some real rock stars among us. One of them we're proud to claim, of course, is your former VP of Policy, Carmen Scarrato, and certainly we have our eye on your new VP of Policy, who is doing great work representing all of you in Washington. One of our next gen leaders, and the reason I brought that up tonight, is April Rain. You may not remember her name, but you certainly know her brand-defining hashtag, #OscarsSoWhite. And as I was thinking about my remarks tonight, I did a little bit of thinking and reading and researching and came across another relevant hashtag that you might have heard of, Latinos Left Out. And it really was a reaction to what we have seen as some modest breakthroughs in terms of the representation of, in particular, white women and Black Americans in Hollywood, where the numbers of speaking roles are starting to get close to representation in the population. But I'm sure it's not a surprise to anyone here that as of 2016, only 3% of the speaking roles in the top movies of Hollywood were held by Latinx actors. We can do better. I'm grateful for the work that organizations like the NHMC are doing to change Hollywood, to push us toward true representation of the rich and beautiful diversity in our nation and world. But I'm equally glad that NHMC is also a leader in recognizing the ways in which new voices are leveraging all of the media tools at their disposal, online and offline. Last year, NHMC recognized Kat Lazo, a Latina creator who uses humor and wit to challenge the media. And of course, this year, you're recognizing Joanna Hausmann, who leveraged YouTube and everything else to build her current platform. The internet has been and must continue to be a democratizer of information, of creativity, and a resource to bring us closer together. Earlier this month, we hosted NHMC in our DC office for a really exciting HHM event where you all brought in some really exciting young leaders who are building innovative connectivity solutions to get their communities online and to empower them with media tools to tell their stories. And this is just one of the many reasons why we're honored to host you tonight and to work with you throughout the year. And I'll just stop by saying, Alex, thank you so much for your vision, your leadership, and your friendship. Brenda, we're very excited to work with you. And Francella, I don't know where Francella is. Right there. Thank you for the depth and passion you bring to the policymakers, our policymakers on behalf of this work. And to Felicia and the rest of the team, thank you for all of your hard work in making tonight possible. And welcome to our home. We're glad to have you. Good night.
Thank you very much. I have one more duty before I get off the stage, okay? But several of you have asked me about the boycott that we have going against Paramount Studios. I wasn't going to mention that, but I am going to mention it. As you know, Latinos buy 24% of all the tickets sold at the box office. Yet, according to a USC study, we only have 3.1% of the speaking roles in front of camera. Now that's between 2006 and 2016. UCLA came out with another study. The number has gone down. Just 1 year that they studied, and Latinos were only 2.7 of the speaking roles in front of the camera. In terms of writers and directors, they were non-existent in terms of Paramount Studios. So we had a meeting with Paramount Studios to discuss their numbers and how they were going to write them. Involved was Brenda Castillo and also Tom Sainz, as you know, the president of the Mexican American Legal Defense and Educational Fund. We thought that they would sign a memorandum of understanding. Everything that they seemed to say led into that direction. And 2 weeks later, they said, no, we're not going to work with you. You're too aggressive. I don't know how to get anything done without being aggressive and assertive, do you? In any case, we have a boycott against Paramount Studios. And we need to make this a national boycott because those numbers are not going to change unless we ourselves take the reins of this situation and complain. Because other than that, it's not going to happen. And as you know, African Americans did a great job in making Oscar So White work for them. So we're going to work for the same thing. I'm coming back into New York to organize an organization here so that, in fact, we can tackle this. Because, look at, this is a civil rights issue. They're blocking us from being part of an industry that is not only very lucrative, but also tells people across the nation who Latinos are. If they don't know who we are, they're going to believe and do believe everything that Trump has to say about us. And what is that? Well, you know it, you've heard it. Criminals, rapists, polluters of this culture, of this atmosphere. And look, for those of you that are not Mexican like me, okay, it doesn't matter. When he looks at Latinos, whether they be Puerto Ricanos, Guatemaltecos, or Salvadoreños, he thinks we're all Mexican. So welcome to the club. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am coming back, and we are going to organize a chapter here, even closer than what we have right now, what Angelo and Marta Garcia have been heading for some time. They need our help, and we're going to give them exactly that kind of help. So, with all of that, excuse me for going on my tangent here, but this is something, as you can hear, that I'm very passionate about, that I know that this is a civil rights issue. And we have to be able to stand up, if not for ourselves as actors, writers, directors, for our children. For our children who aspire to be in front of camera or back of camera. All right? All right. Here is our person that is going to be the mistress of ceremonies for this evening. Jeanine came to NY1 News in October of 1996. She is Brooklyn reporter, primarily responsible for covering the borough's more than 2.5 million people, as well as its schools, politics, religions, and neighborhoods. She also is the lead reporter on many Latino issues. You all know that, right? You all see her in the mornings. In 2002, Jeanine had the honor of marching as one of the grand marshals in the National Puerto Rican Day Parade up Fifth Avenue. She's received numerous recognitions for her work, including awards from the New York Press Club, City and State, and El Diario La Prensa, among many, many others. Please welcome our Master of Ceremonies, Jeanine Ramirez. I like this woman. She was an awardee a few years back, and she was so good up here on the stage that we said, you know, we have to bring her back year after year. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here once again. I've been here since the inception of these local awards 4 years ago. I've been here as the MC, I've been here as a guest, I've been here as an honoree, and it's always a great event, and it's always great to network with all these Latino movers and shakers in the media industry. Thank you for being here. Now, we have a great program for you tonight, and we're going to get started right away. We're going to start with one of New York's best-known local broadcast journalists, my friend, Darlene Rodriguez. She is a multiple Emmy Award winner with deep roots in the community, from the Bronx, Yankees fan, we know, for the past 15 years. And continuing through today, Darlene is the co-anchor of Today in New York, airing every weekday between 4 a.m. and 7 a.m. I can't believe you've been doing it for so many years, getting up so early in the morning and still looking fabulous. How do you do it? That's a hard schedule. Now, Rodriguez was one of the first tri-state broadcast journalists to visit Puerto Rico following the devastation of Hurricane Maria in 2017, and returned to Puerto Rico to chronicle the rebuilding and recovery process. And she interviewed many elected officials and community leaders. We thank you so much for shedding a light on Puerto Rico and everything that Channel 4 has done for Puerto Rico in the coverage. In 2015, she also traveled to Cuba to cover Pope Francis's visit to the nation, and her on-ground reporting there from Cuba was nominated later for a New York Emmy. We also traveled to Vieques together. I was there for New York 1, she was there for Channel 4, and we covered the Navy's bombing range and trying to get the Navy's bombing range closed on the island of Vieques. Darlene is a frequent contributor to the Today Show, with one of her segments previously nominated for the National GLAAD Award. She was the recipient of the 2011 Mujeres Destacadas Award from El Diario La Prensa. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Darlene Rodriguez.
Thank you so much, Jeanine. Jeanine and I have been doing this a really long time. We sleep in a hyperbaric chamber, right? It's been a long time, really long time. Thank you so much to the National Hispanic Media Coalition for this really special honor. I want to thank my husband for being here with me today. I have the most supportive family. I could never do what I do for all these years at the hour that I do it without them having my back every single day, so I appreciate it. Thank you to our WNBC management, our team, Eric Lerner, our general manager, and his team, John Durso, Ida Rosario. So nice to have you all here with us today. I'm proud of what we do on the air every single day. I wish my mother was here to see this. I really do. She would really love what the National Hispanic Media Coalition is doing to make sure Latino voices are heard. She's not dead. She's working. She works in White Plains. She couldn't have gotten here in time. But she would have loved to meet all of you. So next year, for sure. You know, being a Latino journalist in mainstream media, it's a unique thing, right? Because not only are you telling stories, you have the added component of representing a whole community. And I take them with me. I take them with me in everything I do. And with that, there is a sense of responsibility as well to actually take them with you, to uplift, to mentor, to teach, to include. And on the issue of inclusion, right, equally as important is Latino representation in storytelling. That's why we're here. There needs to be more of us telling the stories. There needs to be more of our stories represented. And most importantly, there needs to be more of us deciding what stories will be told. Because see, that's how we're portrayed accurately. That is how we're shown fairly. That is how we get the attention and the respect that is proportionate to the percentage of the population that we represent here and around the country. You know, Jeanine talked about Puerto Rico. I was there last year, right after Hurricane Maria struck, and I was amazed by the spirit, the resilience of my people. I mean, I've never seen strength like that before. People who say, you know, I lost everything, pero gracias a Dios, I'm still alive. Gracias a Dios, my kids are okay, you know, and that's what it was all about. And I was amazed and proud to be part of that community. I was also very proud, quite frankly, to be a WNBC team member there, because not only were we sent there, not only did our management send us there, but made a guarantee and a commitment that we would do the story of Puerto Rico's rebuilding after Hurricane Maria every single day. Every single day. And we have. We established the San Juan Bureau, which no other New York station had done. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that. We went back there just a few weeks ago to see the rebuilding. I can tell you how privileged I feel growing up here, having grown up here, and to be able to report here. I mean, it's just mind-blowing to me that, you know, the 30 Rock, the building that I would see when I was a little girl, that I get to walk in there every day. These communities, these neighborhoods, these people, that I know my whole life. Sometimes though, when you know so many people, you do a story and you're like, I swear, if that's the Jason I grew up with in that surveillance video. It hasn't happened yet, hasn't happened. Not yet. Well, the truth is that next month will make 20 years that I've been at NBC. Thank you. I am so proud of that. I'm so thankful. Some little kids say that they want to be an astronaut or a doctor or a firefighter when they grow up. When I was little, I wanted to be a TV journalist. I just did. I don't know if that's weird, but I was a little girl pretending to be a reporter. I can't imagine doing it anywhere else. To be able to represent the Latino community is something that I embrace. I embrace it with pride. I embrace it with hard work every single day. And the best compliments to me are when my fellow Latinos say, thank you for representing us. Thank you for showing what we can do. And I always say, no, thank you, because I stand on your shoulders and I'm a reflection of you. And where I go, we all go. So thank you all for having me today. I really appreciate this honor. Thank you.
Here's a Darlene fun fact. Before Channel 4, she was a radio reporter for WCBS, right? WCBS 880. Okay, next up, our next Impact Awards recipient is Joanna Hausmann. You heard a little bit about her earlier. Joanna is a Venezuelan-American comedian, writer, and actor who first gained popularity through her videos on YouTube and on Univision's bilingual digital platform, Flama. Her biweekly show, Joanna Rants, centers on culture and language and politics in the U.S. and in Latin America and has reached over 50 million views. Her videos have been featured on CNN, on NPR, and the BBC. She is a correspondent for the next Netflix series, Bill Nye Saves the World, and voices the alien commander on the Disney Channel show, Milo Murphy's Law. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to present this Impact Award for Excellence in Online Storytelling to Joanna Hausmann.
Jeanine, thank you. I want you to narrate my entire life. So if you can do that, that would be amazing. This is amazing. I mean, if you were to have told me 4 years ago that I was going to be receiving an award, that would have been a surprise in and of itself. But to be receiving an award representing our people, I wouldn't have believed you. I would have wanted to believe you, but I probably wouldn't have believed you, because when I moved to New York, I wanted to be a Latina actress. But all of the castings I went to were usually for the white lady, and then the Latina role was always a very stereotypical and probably not positive image of what I personally wanted to portray. So I started creating content, and not just from my perspective, but from perspectives of other Latino comedians, some of which are in the audience today. And I learned something incredible, which is we don't just need representation. We need our point of view to be represented, and we need our stories to be told, whether it's in comedy, whether it's in journalism, whether it's in whatever. So I hope to continue to be able to do that for our community, and I hope to inspire others to do the same. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Our next recipient is Michael D. Nieves, President and CEO of HITN, the largest non-commercial Spanish-language television network in the United States. HITN has received 3 Emmy nominations in 2016, its first time since its inception in 1981. For over 25 years, Mike has helped build the political landscape in New York by serving as a strategic and policy advisor and consultant to numerous elected officials and campaigns across New York City and New York State. His community involvements include the boards of the National Museum of Puerto Rican Arts and Culture in Chicago, the National Hispanic Caucus of State Legislators, Somos New York City Public Schools Community School Board 32, the New York Puerto Rican Day Parade. Nieves was awarded Hero of the Month by Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams for his relief efforts in Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria, and he was recognized as one of City and State's 100 responsible corporate social responsibility figures. So lots of awards. It's a great pleasure. Here goes another one for you, Mike. This one is for Next Impact Award for Outstanding Service and Commitment to the Latino Community. Michael Nieves, come on up.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you, Alex, and your staff. The Media Coalition is important for all of us. I want to congratulate the other nominees. In my fight as a community and Latino political leader, that young lady and I were in Vieques together when she was out there doing the Vieques report. So that's been a long time. At that time, I worked with the New York City Council for Peter Valone, and Jose Rivera was a city councilman. Look, for me, being someone to defend Latinos, and in particular the Puerto Rican community, has been a very important part of my life. And to have become the president and CEO of HITN, which is in 44 million households across the country, where I can proudly say I hold all the editorial power that a station has. And that's something to say because I'm Latino and I'm Puerto Rican. We have other stations that are of Spanish language, but the people in charge don't look like me or don't look like us. So that's an important fact, right? And HITN has changed over the last 3 years under our leadership in a very good direction. As it was said earlier, we were three of our programs were nominated in 2016 for Emmy Awards. HITN has been in existence for 36 years, so that was an accomplishment. For me, it's important that we provide good viewership to our people, that they be able to see programs that affect our communities in the right way, and not depict us as the stereotypical Latino or Puerto Rican or Mexican, right? Interesting enough that today I get this award. When I became president, I was given an award like 3 years ago. Early in the morning when I wake up, I get a phone call from Angelo Falcón. And he says, I can't believe that there's someone out there who would give you an award. I said, Angelo, why can't you believe that? He said, brother, I know you. You do not deserve an award. I can tell you a bunch of stuff you deserve, but an award is not one of them. I miss Angelo, you know, and for me, it's great to be up here, to be a recipient when they initiate award that we need to give to people moving forward, and HITN is going to be committed to donating every year so that these awards can happen, right? That's something that we need to do. But Angelo was a very important part of our political landscape. He was a very important part of our community, particularly the Puerto Rican community. And for me, it's important for us to recognize. You know, I miss Angelo. I miss the work he's done. I miss los bochinche and the arguments that I had with him. I miss the fact that he loved pasteles. And, you know, for me, it was important that I accept this award on the same night that Angelo's award is going to be initiated. So I thank everybody. I thank my staff. I thank my family. I thank everybody. Thank you very much.
Our fourth award recipient tonight is Valerie Castro. Emmy Award-winning journalist Valerie Castro joined CBS 2 in January 2015 as a general assignment reporter. Previously, Valerie spent 5 years at the CBS station KCNC TV in Denver, Colorado, her hometown, from 2009 to 2014. She covered several high-profile stories, including historic wildfires and floods and winter snowstorms. She was also there for the Aurora Theater shooting and extensively covered court hearings following that event. Prior to KCNC TV, Valerie worked as a reporter and weekend morning anchor in Albuquerque, New Mexico at KOB TV. Castro also spent time at ABC News in New York as an intern for 2020 in prime time. She loved New York so much as an intern, she came back to work for Channel 2. Valerie, come on up.
First of all, I want to congratulate my fellow honorees. It's a privilege to be in the same category as all of you. I have the privilege of spending day in and day out telling stories here in New York and telling stories about the people in our community who may feel like they don't have a voice, and many who feel like they don't deserve to be heard, but their stories are no less important than anyone else. This job, this career is a privilege and a duty that I take very seriously, and being honored in this way is just a reminder that what we do as Latino journalists matters and means so much. Representing the Latino community as a journalist is something I don't take lightly, and I am humbled to be recognized by the National Hispanic Media Coalition. Thank you.
Now, his name has been mentioned many times here tonight. We all miss and love Angelo Falcón. He was here with us last year. I have a beautiful picture of him here in this very room. Presenting the last award for this evening is Jose Sanchez, one of Angelo's dearest and closest friends.
Okay, thank you all for being here. It is certainly a great honor for me to be here receiving this first Indomitable Spirit Award on behalf of Angelo. And it's an amazing award even to consider the fact that it really captures what Angelo was. He was an indomitable spirit. You know, I have my talking points here. Let me get to it. Angelo Falcón was obviously one of the first New York City board members of the National Hispanic Media Coalition, along with Marta Garcia. But for me, he was simply my long-term brother. We go back to high school. And we were also partners in crime, doing all these kinds of things from the very beginning, both in high school and college, and later on we helped to create the Institute for Puerto Rican Policy that later became the National Institute for Latino Policy in 1982, believe it or not. We worked with a TRS-80 computer, one of those things that had cassette drives, and that we did our first report using that computer. So anyway, Angelo, even after his passing in May 2018, continues to be a force of nature. One of the articles that he wrote before he died, we managed to get Latino Studies to promise to publish it. It's going to come out probably sometime in November. And in that article, he explains how Puerto Rico can become independent, and he gives actually practical advice about how to go about doing that. Not just simply a theoretical piece or something hypothetical. He gives concrete advice about how to do that. So Angelo's going to continue to have an impact on our community, not just through that article, but hopefully to some of the work that we are hoping to do to continue his legacy. Now, Angelo was a nationally recognized expert on Latino politics and policy issues all over the country, not just simply in New York. He was the author of the Atlas of Stateside Puerto Ricans and is the co-editor of Latino Voices, Mexican, Puerto Rican, and Cuban Perspectives on American Politics, and also, still on the outside looking in, Latino employment in New York broadcast television, among others. His writing has appeared in many, many publications, including The Nation, The New York Post, National Civic Review, El Diario La Prensa, New American Media, and many more. Angelo was featured on CNN, CNN en Español, WCBS, WNBC, all the letters, basically. National Public Radio, Univision, Telemundo, Comedy Central's Colbert Report, that was my favorite. Angelo served on the boards of numerous civic organizations, including the National Hispanic Leadership Agenda, the National Latino Council on Alcohol and Tobacco Prevention. And as many of you know, Angelo was a proud Puerto Rican, born in Puerto Rico, San Juan, Puerto Rico, raised in New York, in Brooklyn, actually. In honor of Angelo, the National Hispanic Media Coalition has created the Angelo Falcón Indomitable Spirit Award. This inaugural award represents Angelo's outspoken and relentless commitment to advocacy and increasing the visibility of Latino communities' achievements and contributions to this country. As Nelson Dennis said earlier, the award will be presented every year to individuals who exemplify Angelo's indelible commitment to the Latino community. Que viva Angelo. Here to accept this award on behalf of our Angelo are his siblings, Yvette Grau and Andy Falcón.
Hi, I just want to say a few words. I didn't know what to say, but Alex spoke to me from California while I was sitting on my balcony in New Jersey, and he told me, speak from my heart. So I want to say thank you, and it's an honor to accept this award on behalf of my wonderful brother, Angelo Falcón. Besides being a caring and loving brother, Angelo was my guide, my rock, and he helped me move forward in my life. He always made time for everyone and still had time for my family. He was the master of juggling his time, and everyone knows he always made time for everyone. Once he called me and said, "Hey, Fea, do you mind if we meet another time? Because I have to see Myra, or I have to see the Boricuas Film Club." And I say, okay, but deep down, I was so jealous of these people who want to take his time. But I grew up with Angelo, and he had time for everyone. He juggled, and he made everyone feel comfortable. So I was raised with Angelo, and I knew I could share him with everyone. I knew he was still there for my daughter, Savannah Rose. She's 14 now. And he was there from her first life, like her first year. He came, made time, and came to see us every month for the first year and took videos. As everybody, most people know, he did a lot of videos. And he made a movie of it, and he put it on his YouTube page. And I'm very proud. He was very proud of her. He goes, the last conversation we had with him, he said, "Wow, Savannah's really growing up. She's 14, and she has such a great. We had such a great conversation, and he was really impressed how she matured and she's changing, and he made a big impression on my daughter and my family and my husband. He was loved by everyone. I wasn't on part of the political side, but he was a loving brother and family member. So he'll be truly missed. I love you, Angelo, and I'll always be with you in spirit and soul. And I thank you for this wonderful award. And let me introduce you to his little brother, Andy. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. I was told I have 2 minutes to talk, but when you try to talk about someone whose lifetime achievement spans decades, it's kind of hard to cram them into a couple of minutes, but we'll give it a shot. When I think of the media and my brother, I always remember all the time he was on the local news outlets like New York 1, ABC, etc. And I remember friends and family members would either call me or the next day see me at work and say, "Hey, we saw Angelo on TV last night." So for me and the family, we got a real big kick out of it, especially my late father. For Papi, to see his oldest son on TV was a big deal for him because it meant to him that Angelo was doing something very important. Now, as you all know, Angelo wasn't the type to take credit for anything unless he had to. But he definitely wasn't afraid to speak up when needed, especially if he felt that our community wasn't being represented or treated as we should be. If he needed to go on air and call out a local official or the mayor or even the governor, well, too bad for them. He was going to tell it to you like it is. And if that individual wanted to disagree with him, he always had the hard data and facts to prove it otherwise. That was probably his biggest access that I know we're going to be missing that a lot. I think one of my proudest moments was a few years ago when Angelo agreed to go on CNN and be interviewed by Lou Dobbs. It had to do whether the U.S. should make English the official language. Now, there was some guy from some far-right group that was there as well, trying to explain that the incoming immigrants, Latinos, would dilate the language in the American culture. Mr. Dobbs, as usual, was being a pompous ass and went right along with this gentleman. Angelo's response was classic. "What the hell are you talking about? Everyone that comes to this country knows that English is the primary language spoken here. There's no need to enforce a law to make incoming immigrants comply. They already know they need to learn the language if they want to adapt into society and so forth." So I'm sure what would have been a nice interview for Mr. Dobbs became a 13-minute heated exchange between him, Angelo, and the right-wing guy. And as the segment was ending, I could hear Angelo in the background saying, "What nonsense." And if I recall correctly, Angelo did launch a campaign against Dobbs because he felt Mr. Dobbs was discriminating against the Latino community. And it turns out a few months later, Mr. Dobbs did resign for CNN. So what's that tell you? You never mess with a well-informed Puerto Rican from Williamsburg. Anyway, I want to thank the Coalition for creating this prestigious award in honor of Angelo. So most were wondering how we're going to continue on with his legacy. So I think this is a very good start. So thank you all, and God bless.
My story about Angelo last year is we found out we had the same alma mater. He went to Brooklyn Technical High School. I went to Brooklyn Tech High School. I'm like, oh my gosh, you went there too? I said, you should come back. You went there too? Okay, so I said, you should come back. You know, you could go to some of the alumni functions. They do a lot of function. He's like, man, I still have nightmares from high school. I'm not going back there. Okay, now we have one final tribute to Angelo Falcón, and to present it, we have one of last year's honorees, my coworker, Hudson Bomero.
Jeanine. Buenas noches a todos. Estoy un poco ronco, which is very appropriate for a guy who likes just, you see a mic, and I'm like a Chuck Schumer running to, elbowing everybody to get the mic. Tengo un catajo de madre. Pero la oportunidad de poder estar aquí esta noche, and to something that I never expected to happen, Alex, to you and the entire family, the board, because it is familia, and you were a victim and a witness of both Angelo's humor, his kindness, his love. He had a special heart for what you guys do, and I used to fight with him. I said, Angelo, como que te gusta buscar problemas. Let them Chicanos do that shit over there. He said, no, man, it's our image. So we would have these kind of arguments. Before I read this important letter from a person that loves him also, and it's amazing. They met in 1980s. He's a major artist. He's a friend. I met him when he first came to New York from Panama. Actually, Miami, then Panama. Panama, Miami, then here. He worked at Fania. He was a messenger from the humble beginnings. Se llama el Señor Rubén Blades. He was a friend, and he was the first person while at Harvard Law School who, because of, we knew each other, plus I knew someone very close to him, and I'm not supposed to say her name, but I'll say Paula C. You all know the song. And Paula and I have known each other for almost 40 years. And I said, look, I'm involved in this organization. We have no money. Estábamos pelados con una chucha. So Ruben took time out, and I've got to say this, and he doesn't like for me to repeat it, but it's part of the story that nobody's going to tell, especialmente en esta ciudad si son anglosajones. No offense to white people. Ruben no solamente dejó de su tiempo de estudio de Harvard Law School. He took time out, put his band together, did the benefit for us, didn't charge us a penny, but he also paid each one of the musicians as if it was a regular gig. I found out afterwards from his own pocket. Un panameño haciéndolo por una organización boricua. And you never forget that kind of stuff. And it's emotional because I got this letter and I was asked to read it from Ruben. He got Angelo. They never spent too much time because, for example, right now, Ruben está in Panama with his father who just turned 94. God bless him. I hope Ruben lives that long and continues to do all the good work. So from Ruben Blades, for the special occasion, I read the following. The true measure of our lives will be determined by whatever contributions we make during our lifetimes. Angelo Falcón made his mission in life to defend Puerto Rico, to denounce injustices, and to propose ways to help create a better reality for all. He never stopped trying because he knew it was necessary to continuously support the possibility of a more just society. He understood the need of protecting those values which were centered in humanity, not partisan ideology. So he went and did it every day of every year until he left this physical world. Angelo is still with us because the ideas of common justice and solidarity that he always supported continue to be important, perhaps more urgently so now than ever before. He was and is an inspiration for all of us. Y hoy todos seguimos sus huellas. Thank you. Gracias, Angelo Falcón. Tu hermano, Rubén Blades. As if it wasn't enough, porque Rubén, he loved Angelo. In many ways, he respected the work. So I've been instructed to announce on his behalf that he is making a personal, not from a foundation, not from a corporate thing, personal donation, Alex, to your work of $5,000 in the name of Angelo Falcón. Gracias.
Thank you, Herzog. Thank you, Rubén Blades. That's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for joining us again for the 4th Annual New York Impact Awards. Thanks for joining this event here at Google headquarters. Thanks for hosting us. And the National Hispanic Media Coalition, please support this great organization. You see all the wonderful work that they do, and Alex is here to join me.
I want to say one thing. I knew about the $5,000, okay? I've also been talking to Jose. And Jose, that $5,000 goes to Angelo's work through your foundation for the work that has to continue to be done. And I'm talking about that report that Angelo put out sometimes 10 times a week. He kept us reading about one thing or another, always about a problem that needed to be solved. So that $5,000, that $5,000 goes into that kitty. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming, ladies and gentlemen.